Okay, folks, I have the thumbs up, so it's time to go. You're very welcome. You're very welcome to everybody in the room and online to the second IUA National 3-Minute Thesis Final. So my name is Claire O'Connell, and I'm delighted to be your MC today. And for those of you online, we do have live closed captions today, which you can adjust to suit yourself. Now, Shakespeare once wrote that brevity is the soul of wit. And, you know, as a journalist, I do know that one of the keys to clear communication is getting your point across quickly while you have people's attention and doing it in a way that they can understand. And with that in mind, the 3-minute thesis concept was originally developed by the University of Queensland, and it has become an event that's replicated around the globe. And the competition supports graduate research students in their development as confident research communicators, and we definitely need more of those. So the participants are challenged to present their research in 3 minutes, using only one slide to a non-specialist audience. And entrants must distill their niche subjects, and PhDs tend to be niche subjects, and intensive research into bite-sized presentations that will inform and entertain the general public. And our judging panel today will be looking for clear and engaging communications, and will be deciding the overall winner and runner-up. But audience, you have a role to play, because you will get to vote both in the room and online. You'll get to vote for the Audience Choice Award, and I'll give more details about how to vote for that later on. So I'm delighted to introduce our esteemed judging panel today. Each of them draws on their own professional expertise and experience in their deliberations, and I think you're going to have a tough job ahead of you, judging panel. The judging panel is Marina Donoghue, who is Divisional Manager of Research and Innovation at Enterprise Ireland, Billy Murphy, Chair of Drury, Dr. Eucharia Meehan, Registrar and CEO of Dublin Institute for Advanced Studies, and the judging panel chair is Jim Miley, who's the Director General of IUA. Round of applause for our judges. And our finalists today, I'm going to introduce each of them. We have Niall Ashfield from Dublin City University, Vidika Windrich from Maynooth University, Rosie Gilia from Trinity College Dublin, Megan Joyce from TU Dublin, Mohammed Mudassar from University of Limerick, Louise McCormick from the University of Galway, Aideen McCabe from University College Cork, and Melissa Kinch from UCD. So round of applause for our speakers. Okay, so this is the process. Each competitor will take their turn to present, and they'll present their 3-minute countdown. Will start on a clock that they can see. You can't see it, but they're all stressed out because they can see it. And that clock won't commence until we click into their main presentation slide. And if the competitor goes over time, they can continue to the end of their presentation, but they will be penalised for it. So try to keep to time, folks. Okay, no pressure. First up, who told me he was delighted to get the email that that you were going to be first. But first up is Niall Ashfield. So Niall, please take the stage. Now, Niall is a PhD researcher at the School of Biotechnology at Dublin City University, and Niall's presentation today is about breast cancer treatments with the goal of improving patient outcomes, so how people do on those treatments, and also, importantly, how to overcome cancer cells developing resistance to treatments. So, take it away, Niall. When you say slide, please, we'll switch to your slide. Perfect. And the countdown is on. Perfect.
Slide, please. So, what happens when a cancer treatment stops working? My name is Niall Ashfield, and that is my question. More specifically, what happens within a cancer cell when a treatment stops working? So I'm sure we all know that quite often cancer patients will stop responding to their treatment over time. So for example, the treatment may work very effectively at first, and the tumour may start to shrink, but after a while of prolonged exposure, the cells may get used to the drug and the tumour may start to regrow. So I want to know how they do this. I want to know what has changed from here to here that means these cells are now able to grow even in the presence of an anti-cancer drug. So to do this, I work with breast cancer cells in the lab. And so here's what they look like in their little flasks, and here's what they look like under a microscope. And so I take a flask of these cells, and I grow them in a very low concentration of an anti-cancer drug called TDXD. And so like in this patient example I gave, initially it'll work quite well. A lot of the cells will start to die off, but some of them will survive and they'll continue to grow and divide. So I'll slowly increase the concentration of TDXD in the flask until finally, after 6 months, we have the cells growing in a concentration of TDXD that initially would have killed them. So now the cells are slightly different from before because they've had to evolve in order to survive in the presence of TDXD. And they're now key to studying how breast cancer develops resistance to treatment. So my job in all of this is to figure out exactly how they're different. So what has changed from this original cell to now the resistant cell that we've created. So one example of this is if we imagine the cancer cell is a hive, and within the hive there are thousands of proteins, we can call them worker bees, each with a different job to do in order to keep the cell or the hive alive and growing. So bring this over here, tell that other worker bee to do that, whatever. So we can look at now, in these resistant cells, are there now a lot more of one kind of worker bee than before? Are there a lot less of another kind of worker bee than before? And are these worker bees or proteins related to or responsible for the resistance that we're seeing? Is TDXD, the drug, still being taken into the cell, or is the cell just simply pushing it out? Is that how the cells have developed resistance? And what other treatments or treatment combinations are still effective against these cells even after TDXD has failed? If we can answer these questions, we can figure out how the cells have developed resistance and potentially how we could overcome or prevent the resistance. Now, there's a reason I've made this slide circular, and it's because all of this work is not just flasks in a lab. It starts with patients and it comes back to patients. So by understanding how these cells develop resistance, we can take that information back into the clinic and influence how patients are treated. So that with this knowledge, potentially someday we as cancer researchers and as doctors could look at a cancer and say, resistance is futile. Thank you.
So Niall, 1 second. Well done, Niall. Niall, can you tell us a little bit about the inter-university cooperation that you're receiving as part of this research?
Yes, so my co-supervisor, Dr. Amira Mahdi, is in UL. If she's watching on Zoom, hello, Amira. She has an instrument that can image cells, kind of like the images we have there under the microscope. We can image thousands and thousands of cells really quickly, which we don't have the capacity to do, and understandably would take forever if you were just taking one image at a time.
At a time, yeah.
So there is a part of my work that is going to be using some of the equipment in UL. And then I'm very fortunate as well. Next year, I'm working with the University of Bergen in Norway to carry out a mouse study on some of these treatment combinations that we've found.
Fantastic.
So
it's all about cooperation,
work.
Isn't it?
Yes,
well
definitely.
Done. Great.
Definitely.
Thank you, Niall.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Vidika Windrich. Vidika, can you join us on stage? Thank you. And Vidika is a PhD researcher at the School of Modern Languages, Literatures and Cultures at Maynooth University, and her presentation today is on Dutch posture verbs and how native language loss can impact identity in immigrant communities. So Vidika, when you're ready, you can say slide please to turn to your competition slide, and the countdown will start.
Great. Slide please. So what are posture verbs, and why am I doing an entire PhD on them? In English, they're really easily explained. I stand here while you sit there. But in Dutch, they're so complicated. Take the woman on the right hand, no, she's on the left hand. Take the woman on the left hand side of the screen. In English, she just cries. But in Dutch, she stands crying. What about the glass of wine? In English, we just say the glass of wine is full. But in Dutch, we say it sits full. Weird, right? I'd like to ask some audience participation. I'm sorry. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see 2 doors. One is open and one is shut. I'd like you to raise your hand if you think the door sits shut in Dutch. Stands shut, okay. Or lays shut. It actually sits shut. Oh. Okay, so door number 1 sits shut. What about door number 2? Do we think that it also sits open, stands open, or lays open? Stands open. All right, well, I think we can agree on 2 things. Posture verbs are pretty difficult to understand in Dutch, and they're pretty unique. They're not unlike the Irishisms that I had to learn. It's grand and any crack. You almost need to be a native learner or a native speaker to understand them. And that brings me to my research. Through surveys and interviews with Dutch learners and Dutch native speakers living abroad, I want to see, how do people learn Dutch posture verbs? And what happens to Dutch native speakers when they move to Ireland or to Germany or to other countries that don't have these posture verbs? Do they lose these unique elements of their language? How does that impact how they communicate with family and friends back home? And how does that impact their sense of identity and their sense of self? I hope that my research can give both analytical information on how Dutch posture verbs are used and learned, but also I want to provide a space where immigrant communities can talk about their experience of language loss. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well done. Well done. Vidika, obviously you have a love of languages. Can I ask you where or how that started?
So I'd have to blame my parents. They moved to Ireland when I was very young and they shipped me with them. And from a very young age, I was kind of given the role as translator in our household. Both literal translator, teaching my father English, but also the kind of dialectical translator of teaching my mom these Irishisms. And then when I started to go to secondary school and I learned German and I went to college and I furthered that kind of education, I became kind of obsessed with these small nuances in language and kind of how they alter how we think, I suppose.
Super.
That's kind of it.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Vidika. Okay. Now we invite Rosie to the stage, Rosie Gilia. Rosie is a PhD researcher at the School of Medicine in Trinity College Dublin, and her presentation today is on the cognitive changes that can occur with neurodegenerative conditions like multiple sclerosis and motor neuron disease. So Rosie, whenever you're ready, say slide please, and we'll start the clock.
Slide, please. Hi, everyone. Meet my friend, Lucy. Like me, she loves to knit. Lucy is one of the 9,000 people in Ireland and 2.8 million people worldwide living with multiple sclerosis, or MS, which is a condition where the body attacks the protective coating on your neurons. Lucy takes medicine for her physical symptoms, but day to day finds that the symptom bothering her the most, the symptom keeping her from her favorite hobby, is cognitive dysfunction, which means it's difficult for her to learn, remember, and pay attention. Like Lucy, as many as 70% of people with MS face these problems, which cause worsened mental health, quality of life, and independence. So, given that statistic, you might be surprised to learn that clinical trials or tests of new MS medicines don't normally measure cognition. So, why would that be? Well, hands up if you're tired. What about stressed or nervous? This row over here. Now, judges, close your eyes. What about bored? Perfect. Well, all of those factors could impact your performance on clinical tests of cognition, even when your underlying ability stays the same. This makes tracking cognition over time in the same person incredibly difficult. My research aims to address this difficulty by measuring the electrical activity in the brain using sensors on the head, just like Eleven wears in Stranger Things, but with 10 times the sensors. When Lucy comes to the lab, she wears this sensor while doing repetitive cognitive tasks. I then average her brain activity during these repetitions to get a summary brainwave that can be traced back to its brain origins. My thesis showed that the size and the timing of some of these waves are different between people with and without MS. I also showed that these same waves are stable over time in people without MS. So if we put that together, it's exciting because it means if we track these waves over time in a trial, changes in the waves should mean real changes to cognition. Clinical trials can't mend what they can't measure. I hope that my thesis will allow researchers to craft new and better treatments that knit together physical and cognitive benefits for people like Lucy. Thank you.
Well done, Rosie. Rosie, what do you think the benefits are of doing a competition like this?
Well, I think as you alluded to, being able to communicate what we're doing in the lab is really important, especially now that there's been a lot of ups and downs in people's trust in science. So I think we have a duty to do that. And then a bit more selfishly, I think it's really beneficial for us as researchers because we have to give so many presentations, and they're not usually as intimidating as this because normally you have more than 3 minutes. People probably know your background a little bit more, and you're probably not trying to present on quite as much of your work at one time. So once you do this, the other presentations just seem a lot less intimidating, a lot easier. So I think it's great practice for that.
Good stuff. Good to hear. Thank you. Thank you, Rosie.
Thanks.
Now, next up is Megan Joyce. So Megan, who's kindly worn a necklace with her name on it so I won't get her name wrong, please come to the stage. So Megan is researching in the field of microbiology and cell biology at the School of Chemical and Biopharmaceutical Sciences at TU Dublin. And her presentation today is on the burden of antimicrobial resistance in community-acquired pneumonia. So Megan, whenever you're ready, say slide, please, and we'll kick things off.
Slide, please. Pneumonia is an infection in the lungs that makes it difficult for us to breathe. It's caused by bacteria, viruses, or fungi, but in many cases, bacteria are the culprits. For most of us here in Ireland, we would consider pneumonia a very manageable illness using antibiotics. But unfortunately, for many children in poorer parts of the world, it's a deadly disease. Pneumonia is actually the leading cause of death in children worldwide, being responsible for over 700,000 deaths in children under the age of 5 globally every year. That's one child every 39 seconds. To put that into perspective for a second, these presentations today are 3 minutes long. And as each speaker comes up here, shares their work, and returns to their seat, nearly 5 more children have died from pneumonia. Antibiotic resistance is making the situation worse. Antibiotic resistance occurs when bacteria can change and become resistant to the drugs that were previously used to kill them. This is now happening at an alarming rate. In many lower-income countries, antibiotic misuse is occurring. For example, taking antibiotics that aren't needed, not finishing a course of medication, taking the wrong dose or the wrong drug altogether, all of which builds up bacteria resistance in the body. The result? A child gets pneumonia, and the drugs that would have worked a few years ago often won't work anymore. This means doctors have to try more expensive or difficult to access medication, which many families in these lower income countries simply cannot afford. In addition to antimicrobial resistance, a change in the type of bacteria associated with pneumonia is making it harder to treat, as often different bacteria will require different drugs. We are seeing a change in the type of bacteria causing pneumonia, and these bacteria don't respond well to the usual antibiotics. In wealthier countries, if the initial treatment options fails, doctors can try other antibiotics or more intensive treatment options. But in lower income countries, if the common antibiotics stop working, there may not be any backup options. This is emphasizing the urgent need for new treatment options for children with pneumonia. I'm working on gaining a better understanding of antimicrobial resistance in order to find better, more effective treatment options. My research is focusing on combining cheap and readily accessible antibiotics with new compounds created by chemists in order to find a better treatment option. The idea is that by combining these two, They'd be able to overcome resistance but still remain financially accessible for many families in lower income countries. If successful, this could provide a life-saving solution for many children at risk of dying from drug-assisted pneumonia. Thank you.
Well done, Megan.
Thanks.
Well done. Megan, can you tell us a little more about the personal connection that you have with this research topic?
Yeah, so this research topic was deeply personal to me as I seen firsthand the importance of antibiotics. My grandmother had TB in her youth, and then my grandfather had pneumonia twice in recent years. So I'd seen and heard about as they'd both been put on a variety of antibiotic regimes in order to find an effective treatment option. Thankfully, due to the resources and medicines we have available here in Ireland, they both made a full recovery. A privilege I realise not everyone can share. And when I started this research, I was really shocked by the impact pneumonia has on children, as here in Ireland we would mainly associate it with elderly patients. So I think it's important to share that message and see the real impact that it's having on children, particularly in these lower income countries.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Megan. Now we have Mohammed Mudassar. Mudassar, can you take the stage? Thank you. Now, Mudassar is a PhD researcher at the Faculty of Sciences and Engineering and the School of Engineering at the University of Limerick. And his presentation today is on harnessing waste heat for generating electricity using sustainable materials. So, Mudassar, whenever you're ready, say slide, please, and we'll get going.
Thank you. Slide, please. Imagine a world where your watches can recharge just by utilizing heat from your bodies. That's true, because heat is everywhere, from industries to our bodies, and most of that heat goes to waste. To confirm this, I need your support. Can you please place your fingers on your forehead? Let me know, can you feel the heat? That's waste heat, and it's a huge missed opportunity. I'm on a mission to utilize this waste for productive purposes. But that's not all. I'm tackling another crucial issue related to trees. When trees are used for making papers or cardboards, they generate a massive amount of waste called lignin. That's around 140 million tons a year. To visualize this waste, imagine spreading this waste in 1 meter thick layer. It would cover the entire area of Dublin city to accommodate it. That's a huge waste, and I'm utilizing this waste for making sustainable devices. My research involves making lignin-based membranes and lignin-based porous carbons out of this waste. So these membranes, when infused with salt solution and subject to temperature difference, they can generate electricity. And those porous carbons, they are used to store that harvested energy. So by sandwiching these technologies together, I'm making a device that can harvest and store energy at the same time. The potential applications of this research are worldwide. They can be utilized where there is a temperature difference. Have a look at that thermal camera picture. That's me before and after 30 push-ups. Just like this. 30 is because that's the maximum I can do in a go, but my body temperature rises after doing these push-ups, and the temperature difference between my body and room temperature, that is around 10 to 12 degrees, can be utilized to power up my fitness tracker. Or imagine yourselves wearing a band fitted with this technology before cycling or jogging. So as you move, your body generates heat, and that heat can be utilized to power up your heart rate monitor, GPS tracker, or any other wearable device. That's the future of energy I'm trying to shape. This research has already been featured in Irish Times, RTE Brainstorm, Silicon Republic, The Conversation, and many other websites, because this is not a simple technology. It's a step toward sustainable energy future. I want to finish my presentation with a rhyme and request you to say these colored words on my pause. So, join the waste heat. It's not just, it's an energy. Thank you.
Well done, Mudassar. Audience participation is always good. What skills have you developed taking part in this competition?
The main skill is actually communication. Like public speaking is, I think, one of the major challenge for all of us we are here, and especially being a non-native English speaker, that is even greater for me. Presenting in this competition time to time in my department, then in university, then here, then at Vitae as well. So it gets me a bit confident to speak in public, and that is the best thing that I got out of this public speaking, actually.
Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Mudassar.
Thank you.
Now, next up, we have Louise McCormack. So Louise, please take the stage. Louise is researching the field of artificial intelligence at the Faculty of Computer Science at the University of Galway. And her presentation today is on evaluating the ethics and trustworthiness of AI systems. So whenever you're ready, Louise, say slide, please, and we'll get going.
Thank you. Slide, please. Consider a future 1,000 years from now where an intelligent AI system controls every aspect of our lives. It monitors each of you, builds an advanced profile, and makes your key life decisions. What job you can apply for, what house you can buy. If you get sick, it tells your doctor whether you should receive treatment or not. And if you break the rules, it decides your sentence. Now, we humans can speak up. We can even publish news and content criticizing the AI. But the AI reviews and decides what actually gets seen by others, effectively using our content to shape the individual realities of others around us. In such a future, where AI plays such an important role in each of our lives, how could we evaluate that the decisions it's making are trustworthy? What if I told you that we don't need to wait 1,000 years to need an answer to that question? That AI is already used to make each of those decisions today. The US judiciary system uses AI to decide sentences by predicting the likelihood of reoffending, and it's proven to be biased. Personalized recommender algorithms already tailor the news we each see individually by collecting our biometric data, face prints, voice prints, behavioral data. And this is used not just to decide which news and content we each see, but even which user comments we see. The comments we click into to help shape our understanding of what's happening in our world. And this is leading to radicalization in society with little to no accountability or transparency. The algorithms that are used to make these decisions, they're known as black box algorithms because they can't explain their decisions fully, not even to the people who've built them. AI is deeply integrated into our society and is almost entirely unregulated and unevaluated for its impacts. My PhD research, I'm building a tool that quantifies trustworthiness of AI systems by utilizing the 7 principles of trustworthy AI from the EU's AI Act. Now, these principles, which include things like bias and fairness and transparency, they can already be quantified for many use cases. But making AI trustworthy often comes with a trade-off that affects profitability. Yet, for-profit companies get to decide what these trade-offs are, a clear conflict of interest. My tool visualizes these trade-offs on a transparent user dashboard, enabling an ease of facilitation of regulators so that they can go in and actually hold these companies accountable in a quantifiable way. In a world where AI plays an ever-increasing role in each of our daily lives, my research aims to ensure that these powerful systems are built to serve society safely and ethically. Thank you.
Well done, Louise. Louise, can you talk us through maybe some of the challenges that you've faced in this research and how you've overcome them?
Yeah, so one of the first things I did was to look at an evaluation criteria for each of these 7 principles. And some of these are really simple. I'm quite a technical person, so we can go in and we already have a lot of research on how to calculate something like demographic parity. And that's just a formula to check that outcomes are fair across protected groups, that we're serving them fair results. But then when you started to look at some other principles that are less technical, a little bit more outside of my comfort zone, like impact on society, how do we evaluate the impact of an AI system on society? And that led to a very long route down an interdisciplinary kind of approach to look at everything from how we create knowledge structures. So our culture and our values actually start at the beginning of these systems. So I was evaluating from the bottom, but actually, if you design something or create something, your culture, values, and beliefs are inherent in the design of that system. And so looking at one who's creating the systems, what their values are, and what they've decided is the utility of this AI system. So in Europe, for example, we use NACE codes to track what our economic activities are. What are we doing as a society? And so in AI, we need to be doing the same thing. We need to say, here's what we're building, here's what we're investing in, and here's what the utility of these systems there are, so that we can ensure that we're actually investing in technology that aligns with the values that we want our society to be shaped by.
Thank you, Louise. Well done. Now, our next speaker is Aideen McCabe. And Aideen, so if you want to take the stage, please. Aideen is a PhD researcher at the School of Biochemistry and Cell Biology at University College Cork. And her presentation today is about identifying ways to detect ovarian cancer earlier using lots of omics. So Aideen, whenever you're ready, say slide, please, and we'll get started.
Brilliant, thank you. Slide, please. Can I get a show of hands if someone you know has been affected by cancer in some way? And listen, I know this is a very heavy question to ask, especially within 5 seconds of getting up here, but as you can see, cancer affects most of us. In my project, I work on ovarian cancer, and at the moment, there's no way to catch it early. No mammograms like we have for breast cancer, and no smear tests like we have for risk of cervical cancer. Nothing. This means that most cases aren't caught until late stages when chemo is less effective, and this means that over 200,000 people die from this disease every single year. If we could catch it early, however, this number could drop by 60%. So, how do we catch ovarian cancer early? What we need are biomarkers, or molecules that can tell us whether someone has a disease or not. And in my PhD, I'm aiming to answer 3 questions which will hopefully help us to find these biomarkers. The first question is, where do we look for them? And in order to study cancer, scientists don't do experiments on tumours inside patients. Instead, they use cells in a flask or a dish like what Niall talked about, called cell lines. But since there's over 100 different ovarian cancer cell lines out there for scientists to choose from, it's very difficult for them to know which are the best ones to use in their studies. In my project, I looked at the genes that were switched on or off in these ovarian cancer cell lines, and I compared them to the genes that were switched on or off in real-life patient tumours. And this helped me to identify the cell lines that were the best match for these patient tumours, so I can advise scientists to use these for more accurate and relevant results. I also made a worrying discovery, and that was that the most popular cell line used in over 90% of ovarian cancer studies isn't actually from ovarian cancer in the first place. So now that we know where to look for or where not to look for our markers, the second question is, what type of markers do we look for? And one molecule that we're interested in particular are called long non-coding RNAs. And we like them because they're very specific to certain diseases, and they can be detected in the blood, which, as you can imagine, is ideal for a diagnostic test. We're currently investigating whether these long non-coding RNAs can be used to detect ovarian cancer at its earliest stages. The third question is, who should we involve in the research? And at the beginning of my 3 minutes, I asked you if you knew someone who was affected by cancer. In our lab, these people are the researchers too. We hold workshops with people directly affected by ovarian cancer, and we ask them, what do you want to see in a diagnostic test? As scientists, we sometimes think we know everything, but if we're not listening to people directly affected by the disease we're studying, we're only really getting half the story. So hopefully, by using the best cell lines, looking for exciting long non-coding RNA biomarkers, and importantly, actively involving the patient voice, we can hopefully get one step closer to catching ovarian cancer early. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Aideen. Aideen, what do you hope the longer-term impact of your research will be?
Yeah, for sure. I think for our cell line studies, I think there's such a fantastic ovarian cancer research community in Ireland. So if we can provide them with the knowledge to choose the best cell ones for their studies, then that can help any discoveries they made, whether it be treatments or diagnostics, make them more likely to succeed in clinical trials down the line. And then for if we can get one step closer to a diagnostic test in our biomarker research, then that gives people, a better chance at recovering from surgery well. They have more treatment options as well. And at the end of the day, that gives them more time with their families. And from working with the patients, you really see how important that is. Like even a year or 2 years of a difference can make the world a difference to these people. So those are kind of our long-term impacts.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Aideen.
Thank you.
And our last speaker, you've been waiting there a while, Melissa, well done. Melissa, if you want to take the stage, Melissa Kinch is a PhD researcher with the School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems at University College Dublin, and her presentation today is about co-designing a clinical practice tool to support young people and families living with rare kidney disease throughout healthcare transition. So Melissa, whenever you're ready, slide please, and we'll start the clock.
Slide please. Just for a second, I want everybody in this room to hold hands with the person that's sitting beside you. And don't worry, I'll explain. How did it feel when you held that person's hand? Perhaps it felt a little bit weird because maybe you didn't know the person sitting beside you or know them that well at least. Or perhaps it felt warm, comforting. The simple gesture of holding somebody's hand can mean a lot of different things for different people. For example, two friends holding hands can be a sign of friendship. A mother holding their young person's hand can be a sign of safety, security. But what happens when that young person reaches young adulthood? When the parent needs to take a step back and the young person needs to take a step forward? Who will hold my hand, Mum? As a children's nurse, this is a question that I've heard many young people ask their parents when living with a chronic illness and faced with the healthcare transition between paediatric and adult services. Just for a minute, I want you all to think back to when you were a teenager. Perhaps you're thinking about increased independence, spending time with friends. You might even be thinking about some of the more challenging times that you went through. For example, when you transitioned from secondary school to college, or when you transitioned from home to moving away from home. Adulting is hard, right? But now imagine you're a young person with a chronic illness. On top of all of that, you have to think about taking your medications on time, scheduling your appointments. You might even need to reconsider your future career choices due to limitations attached to your illness. Now think about if you were living with a rare kidney condition, of which just over 300 conditions exist globally. Imagine that you were on a life-sustaining treatment waiting for a cure to be found. That the only other person with the same condition as you lives on the other side of the globe. That's pretty isolating, isn't it? But unfortunately, that is the reality for many young people across Ireland. But it's not all doom and gloom. Unfortunately, in recent years, there has been significant progress made in terms of diagnosing and treating these conditions. And as such, young people are living longer and now need to move into adult services through the process known as healthcare transition. But this doesn't always happen as planned. And that's where I come in. My research aims to work with these young people and their families and the healthcare professionals who support these groups to design a tool that we can use to support this process. Principle 2 of the United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goals is committed to leaving no one behind, and that's irrespective of whether that person has a common chronic or a chronic rare disease. So with that, I'm raising my hand to leaving no one behind, and I invite you to hold hands with the person sitting beside you if you're with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Melissa, can I ask you who or what is the biggest inspiration to you in the research that you're doing?
Yeah, so I think my research kind of spurred from my career as a registered children's nurse, and I think in the rare disease community we always say that no work should be done for the people that are affected without them. So I think definitely the biggest inspiration is the young people that are working with me actively on this project and the parents. They're actually leading the design, and I kind of say that I'm giving them a helping hand to design a resource that will help them. So.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank
Yes,
you.
and not about me without me, isn't it? That's what it is. Yeah. Well done. Well done. Thank you, Melissa. Now we've come to the end. Well, you can all exhale now. Your job is done. But the job now remains to be done for the judging panel, who have a very difficult task ahead of them. My goodness, I wouldn't like to be in your shoes at the moment. So please, judging panel, can you take leave of us and begin your deliberations? And while the judging panel are doing that, you, the audience, will have your own opportunity to vote for the winner of the Audience Choice Awards. Now we have a bit of in the spirit of proportional representation, we have a little bit of a workout here. So if the audience choice is the same person as either the judge's winner or runner-up, we will move to the next person in the audience choice to receive the prize. And for the audience choice vote, we're going to be using Slido. So if any of you are familiar with Slido, dig right in. So you take out your mobile phones or laptop and you go to www.slido.com. And on the home page, you'll see a blue box which asks if you're joining as a participant, and you enter this code in the box. So it's #4793282. And while you're all doing that, we're going to play a short video to remind us of the competitors. This is very Eurovision. So we'll roll it there with the video while you're voting.
My project is looking at specifically what happens within a cancer cell when the treatment stops working. quite often patients will stop responding to their treatment. And so I want to study that in the lab and recreate that resistance in the lab. I essentially work with flasks of cancer cells. How are they different from before? How exactly have they changed to adapt and to grow even in the presence of the drug? And potentially, if any of the changes in the cells are targetable by other cancer drugs.
One of the most surprising things I found out during my research is that people who move to a new country due to trauma are actually more likely to lose their first language in comparison to people who move to that same country for just regular immigration. I hope that my research can contribute to current immigrant bodies in Ireland who are learning English but want to stay connected to their culture.
My thesis in 3 submission looks at the cognitive problems, so learning, memory, or attention, that occur in a large proportion of people with conditions like multiple sclerosis or motor neuron disease. So I'm looking at the brain activity that might be contributing to these changes, so we could understand why they occur and hopefully in the future track them, be able to predict them, and see if treatments are working. My research could impact the healthcare sector by the development or refining of new treatments that would also benefit people living with these cognitive changes.
In lower income countries, improper antimicrobial practices are driving resistance, emphasising the need for new treatment options for many diseases. My research aims to find a cost-effective treatment option for pneumonia using novel adjunct therapies with commonly available antibiotics. There is a known shift in etiology of pneumonia present, which may be leading to mistreatment of the disease.
Around 70% of global energy is wasted as heat. That represents a vast untapped source of clean energy. Our research involves utilizing this waste heat for making electricity. We are using lignin, a byproduct of wood from paper and pulp industry, to develop materials that can convert this waste heat into electricity and store it efficiently. In short, we are making a battery that can recharge by utilizing heat.
There's a period of time where the tech companies can do what they want. People are building systems that are very careless, very reckless, and in many cases very unethical. What I'm building is going to be an open source tool that can be used by the public sector to go in and audit companies now and be used now and not have to wait another 10 years. I hope that it will speed up the process of rolling out actual standards and actual audits for the AI Act, which is coming into play.
I think that any discoveries made through cancer research can help to drive innovation in both the pharmaceutical and the biotech industries. Discovering new drug targets or discovering new diagnostic tools can help drive growth in these sectors while also advancing healthcare. If my research or my work can give people diagnosed with ovarian cancer more time to be able to spend with their loved ones, then that's what it's all about.
Fortunately, in recent years, there have been huge advancements made, both in terms of diagnosing and treating conditions that were previously considered childhood conditions. As such, young people and families with these conditions are now required to move between child and adult services through a process known as healthcare transition. But this process is really challenging, especially for the young people who are living with rare conditions. My research aims to work with these young people, the parents and caregivers, and also the healthcare professionals who support these groups to design a tool that can then be delivered in healthcare transition practice.
Applause for all our speakers. Excellent. Good stuff. So the number, just to give it to you again, in case anybody was having an issue getting into Slido, was 479-3282. There it is, up on the screen. Has everybody voted? Does anybody need a few more minutes? We okay? Just before we go to lunch, I just want to congratulate all the speakers. You were all amazing. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that each of you has come through a very rigorous process in your own institution. You're all winners or runners up in your own institutions, and it really shows the quality of the communication this morning has just been fantastic. I think another round of applause for you all, to be perfectly honest. And you know, I can't overstate the importance as well of developing the skills that you've showcased today as researchers, and particularly early in your careers. As a journalist, I interview researchers every day, and when people like yourselves have come through a process like this, it makes it so much clearer when you go and you try and get your message out there in the media. It really works. So this is going to stand to you forever. Whatever happens in the next hour, this is going to stand to you. So now we're going to have a light lunch for about 30 minutes while the judges, I'm sure they're fighting upstairs at this stage over you. But we're going to have a light lunch and we're going to be back here at 12:30. So if you're online, throw on the kettle, have a bit of a sandwich, and we'll see you back here in the room in 30 minutes. Thanks so much, everybody. Lunchtime. Now, folks, I hear there's white smoke, so we just have to sit tight for a few minutes and let the judging panel come back in, and then they can give us the results. So here they are. Round of applause for the judging panel. Woohoo! Now, judging panel, thank you for doing that arduous task. I would say now there was a lot of discussion. So if you take your seats, and thanks everybody for staying, for coming back to the room, coming back online. Now I'm sure there are a few nerves among the competitors, but you have all, as we said before, you've all done a fantastic job, and you've represented both yourselves and your institutions very well. So can I ask the chair, Jim Miley of the judging panel, to give me the magic envelope here. And can I invite the judging panel to come up on stage as well for the announcements? Yeah. Cool. So Jim, talk to us. How was that process?
Well, that was as you realised, we spent probably longer than we were supposed to be allowed out there. And the reason was very simple. It was a very difficult choice to make. I think there was a fellow called Cicero who hung about Rome about 2,100 years ago. And he said that brevity is a charm of eloquence. And I think if he was here today, he would say we had an absolute abundance of eloquence from all 8 competitors. I think hugely energizing, I think, is what my fellow judges talked about. I think to give just a couple of comments from the judges, and we're not going to comment on individual presentations, obviously. Overall standard, hugely impressive. I think one of my fellow judges said that what we saw today were 8 leaders, and I think you should consider that comment. I think across the board we saw a confident, self-assured presentations, people not only on top of their subjects, but really well able to articulate the relevance of what they're doing and the impact that will have. And we appreciate that some of these PhDs are at different stages, so they haven't, got to their results stage in many cases yet. But yet we're able to communicate very clearly what the impact was. I think our future is in good hands. I think both, we saw presentations today that straddle both the social and economic space. My colleague from Enterprise Ireland was particularly excited. She's noting down the names and thinking there could be breakthroughs here in the years ahead. So if you think it's relevant to you, an Enterprise Ireland application somewhere down the line could be on the cards. But I think and I don't know if there are people here from our department or from elsewhere in government, but I think if they were, and they probably are watching online if they're not here, some of them, I think if ever there was a case for investment in research talent, this is it today. Well said.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. And thank you to Marina and Eukarya and Billy as well for your work. I'm going to invite each of our competitors onto the stage to receive their certificate. And please show them your appreciation for a job really well done. So, finalists, I'd ask you to stay on stage after you come up. So we'll choreograph this slightly so you're standing at the back of the stage. First up is Niall Ashfield from Dublin City University. Well done, Niall.
I almost caught that one as well. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Do the quick photos there. You can chat among yourselves. Excellent. Well done. Now, and our next finalist is Vidika Windrick from Maynooth University. Fantastic, thank you. Now, yeah, if you all stand over on that side of the stage, perfect. So Rosie is next up, Rosie Gilia from Trinity College, Dublin. So, thank you. Now Megan Joyce from TU Dublin. Thank you. So Mohammed Mudassar from University of Limerick. So Mudassar, thank you. Great, thank you. Louise is next. Louise McCormack from University of Galway. Super, thank you. Aideen McCabe from University College Cork. Lovely. And Melissa Kinch from University College Dublin. Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Thanks, Leah. Chief choreographer there. We feel the tension in the room. So exciting. Beautiful. If anybody wants to come up and just take your pictures, that's grand. Give them a moment. Just give you all a moment to capture everybody and throw it up on social media, don't forget. Excellent. Okay, now, thanks everybody. Right, drum roll. we're going to have the main prizes now. And when I call your name, if you just step forward, that would be great. So the winner of the Audience Choice Award of the 2024 IUA National Thesis in 3 competition is Megan Joyce. Congratulations, Megan. Well done, Megan. Now, next up, the runner-up of the 2024 IUA National 3-Minute Thesis competition is Mohammed Mudassar. Congratulations, Mudassar. Well done. Congratulations. And now, we need a big drum roll for this one. The overall winner of the 2024 IUA 3-Minute Thesis competition is, all the way from the Rebel County, Aideen McCabe from University College Cork. Congratulations, Aideen. Fantastic work, everybody. And congratulations to our winners again. Excellent. And thanks again to our judging committee. Absolutely